But if you have a mother, you have sisters, nieces, even brothers, you will find out later, friends, co-workers, people that you may know, some people that you may come in contact with, you may find them and to know, and you may see that it will be important to you. Because if you know something, you have to share it. Now, again, about loosening the corset bond, you may be wondering, well, what is loosening the corset bond? What is it all about? So let me tell you. Loosening the cord, that bond, again, is LLC, and it is a for-profit business organization. It was established in 2018. Our mission is to promote wellness and safety to those women who are in abusive relationships or situations. That abuse could be verbal, emotional, sexual, financial, physical, and even spiritual. That's spiritual. And there are others, but I'm just naming a few. Through various resources, clients are empowered and encouraged and educated. And educated. We are dedicated to bringing awareness of this violence through programs, workshops, seminars, counseling, referrals, and relevant resources to aid clients navigating them to their next. Through these resources and collaboration with other agencies, it will bring about wholeness to our families and communities at large. So you may ask me, how are we going to do this? I'm so glad that you asked me that. One cord at a time. We can't do nothing unless we have to start something. We just can't do it all of a sudden. It takes time, and abuse has a lot of cords. It comes with a lot of things. So it takes time to unravel some things. Because if you do it all at once, you may destroy something or destroy someone. Loosening the cords that bind was birthed out of the pain for me being a victim and becoming a survivor and an overcoming of domestic abuse, and the desire to assist others who are in this dark place. Sometimes if I cannot take you where I have not been. So I've been on a journey for years. I've been abused, different types of abuse. I've been there, did that, done that. So I can tell you some things, and you can tell me some things. You've probably been through more than what I have, but we all have a story to tell. My story is not your story, and your story is not my story, but we do have a story. And but what we can do is write the pages well. Side note to that, I wanted you to know as well that I am a licensed Christian therapist, and I am available for counseling. However, because of social distancing, there are other platforms that we can use instead of meeting face-to-face, basically. And at the end of this 30-minute session, I will give you numbers, and if you want to contact me, then you are free to do so, and I will be available. Now, moving forward, tonight I would like to bring to your attention on how the coronavirus of COVID-19 has exacerbated domestic violence. It was like exacerbated, yes, not exasperated, but exacerbated. Exacerbated is, the meaning of that is to infuriate, to provoke, to aggravate, or to make a bad situation worse, to irritate, to annoy, and increase, and just madden, or just fan the flames of fire, just make it, just turning up the heat, per se. For you who do not know what domestic violence is, domestic violence is a violent or aggressive behavior within the home. Typically, the violent abuse or a spouse, is a spouse or a partner that the violence is vented against. The purpose of the behavior of the abuser is to exert power and control. Because we know, and if you did not know, Abuse is more about power and control, because the person always has to be in control, either be a man or a woman. So we know that men are abused as well, but there's a more compelling number of women, because I guess you say we're sometimes more vulnerable. But men, because of their status as men or male, they are afraid to tell or to let people know that they've been abused. So it's a lower number than the women. Now, we know that we've been in this pandemic for a couple of months, and we know that domestic abuse is already a bad thing. But because of the pandemic, I will be using interchangeably the words of pandemic, COVID-19. I'll be using those words interchangeably, but still I will be referring to about the same thing, because I'll be talking about the impact that it has made on the domestic violence. Even though it was domestic violence was already before a problem, but it has increased. It has made it worse. That's what the word exasperated means, to make it worse than what it was in the beginning. In the past few months, our freedoms have been restricted. Would you say that? And control was coming from an outside source. Along with this, our nation was also dealing with racial unrest, and our sense of safety and security has been shaken. Yes, what I'm talking about this tonight, I'm definitely not talking about the racial unrest, but I'm talking about COVID and how it has affected the population of people that have been abused before. Now it's gotten to the point that it's worse. Statistically, according to the National Statistics on Domestic Violence, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner. An intimate partner is somebody that you're intimate with or living with, not have to be sexual, but you're living with them and you're close, you have a love for them. An intimate partner, contact, and sexual violence are stalking, which is pursuing or tracking or trailing someone. As you remember, let me take you back to March 16th, the government announced that the stay-in-place order, they announced the stay-in-place order, and these orders were a set of guidelines intended to slow the spread of the COVID-19 virus. This restricted the people from leaving their houses for anything than essential activities. Because you remember the essential workers, they couldn't, they were the only ones really were allowed on the roads or the streets at that time, unless, you really have to go somewhere shopping or whatever and back to the houses. However, COVID-19 has given the abuser more power to wield, to manipulate or utilize someone at their disposal. If you remember, prior to the pandemic, people were working, children were in school, and they had other activities that allowed them to be away from the house, like going to church or different appointments. They had different activities, going out to movies, even though sometimes when you're in a domestic violence relationship, your freedom is kind of limited. I can say that because I know. So there also, the children had appointments or whatever, or children had other groups to go to. Some families had, they had social services and other services to help them to cope, because sometimes those agencies have different programs to help them to cope with different things. So again, such as counseling and the support groups. However, the pandemic has greatly impacted how the victims and the survivors are treated at a home, per se. For example, when people are forced together, even a phone call could become a dangerous thing. Why? Because I'm glad that you asked that, because most of the time the abusers, they are always watching. They are monitoring every movement you make. They are watching, and that's how they get their strength. This virus also has, like I said before, they cause tensions, new tensions among the domestic violence community. Because I remember that after the prolonged stay-in mandate that it lingered, because it lingered for months of confinement, that they were all cooped up together for extended periods of time, and the tensions began to build, and they were at an all-time high. So now here comes the thing of isolation. Even the children or the wives, even if they were sick, they were not allowed to go out. They had to stay there because the abuser would not allow them to go, even if they were sick. They had to stay there and then just deal with the situation. And even if they left, they were afraid if they went, without permission, they would not be allowed back inside the house. And at the same time, even if they were in a situation that they were so abused, they would not be able to go to the shelters because they were afraid of going to the shelter because of all all the things that are said that happens at shelters. They were very reluctant to go, so that made them stay even the more. Again, then there was, how can you, it's like now that they have something like social distancing was endorsed. People had to work from home remotely, keeping even now it's supposed to be like 6 feet apart or things of that nature. Sounds feasible, right? Not for victims of abuse, is not. Why? Because this exacerbates countless problems for victims, whereas they are more in danger on the inside than the outside. So they are like in between two things. Should I stay or should I go? If I go, I may get COVID-19, and if I stay, I may get beat down like noodles in a bowl of soup. So therefore, the trickery of the perpetrator is to isolate their victims by cutting their relationships with coworkers and family members, and even making them more vulnerable in the rural communities. The rural communities are more vulnerable, like the people of color and the LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queers. I think that's what it is. That's what they're identified as. They are more vulnerable to domestic violence as well, and there's always an all-time high of them getting abused mostly of the time. And because of the pandemic as well, or the COVID-19 crisis, the use of drugs has increased. The drug overdose has increased. The addictions are increasing, like alcohol. People now who did not drink, they have become they're like drinking bennies or whatever the case would be, because of all the pressure that they are enduring. That's their only relief is to drink. And even the rate of suicide has gone up. It has increased dramatically. At the same time, the onset of this virus came, and the sale of guns went up. Which prompted the people to buy the guns, because I guess they didn't know what was going to happen, so they bought guns. At the same time, this brought more of a pressure on those who were in the violent situation, because I forgot the number of people, women per year that are being shot by guns. They are killed in domestic disputes by guns. So the pandemic has really put a limit. It really has worsened every situation in the domestic community and in every way. There is no, even when the social workers and stuff, before they had access, now they couldn't have access. So they usually are trying to make ways to meet, to see if their clients are all right. But sometimes they can't do it because of the abuser is right there, so there is less communication. So in essence, they have to do like online something that where they can communicate somewhat with the women. Because before before the numbers were up in domestic violence before the pandemic, but when the pandemic came, it went down. Not because that it was less violence, it's because that they were not able to come to the phone. They were not able to report it as before, as freely as before. So therefore, they could not really tell people what was going on. So the authorities, they were kind of worried about that because they were not, they could not see what was going on with the people. And again, the shelters and other services for the people had been affected also by this, because some of them ran out. But if you are a person that needs a shelter, or you want to be the one that want to get away, or you want to leave, there is a way out for you to go, because they are still now that things are still opening back up, but everything is not opening back up. There's still layers and stuff that they still have to do. But if you are a person that needs to get out, there is a way that there is space. So sometimes people said that they were afraid that they were not safe, but they always have places for people that have emergencies. There always are people that have emergencies, so you will be able to be helped. So if you are in a place and you do not want to be there, there is a way out. Don't stay there because you feel that there is no way out, because there is help and there is hope. Even in the as I was saying, even with the courts, many courts are closed, and some of them are opening up back now, and many legal advocates are still working remotely. But however, in many areas of like restraining orders, if you need a restraining order, and because these are things that are deemed essential, because you need somebody to stop somebody from beating your head off, you can get a restraining order. They have those things available for you. All you have to do is, these are certain numbers, like I said, I will give you at the end, and then you will be able to find the help that you need. Many courts allow people to petition for the restraining orders as well, even by mail or phone. So that may, maybe that may be something that may work for you. If you can't get out of the house to go there, maybe you can do that by phone or text or something like that. Or if you know somebody and you have that relationship with, then you can get somebody to maybe to do that for you, to do that. So in addition to that, they have the hotlines and things like that. But realize now, because that COVID-19 is affecting so many, and there are so many things that are going on, especially in the medical field, and so many people are getting sick. Even there are not even enough resources for a lot of stuff. So even if you see that there are urgent care or needs for more funding, there is space that you can really fund. You can go and make donations and fund people as well, because there's not enough funding to go on to help a lot of people, and this stuff is new and everybody don't know about it, so they're still trying to figure their way around of how to do things. But know that there is a way out for you, even if you have to go, like I said before, and as neighbors, we need to make sure and be our sisters and our brothers' keepers, being that we need to be more attentive, not to be nosy, but to be helpers one to another. You don't have to go and ask people about their business, but if you know a neighbor and that they are going through something, especially abuse of that nature, go and check on them. See how they're doing. Just knock at the door and just ask, is everything all right? You don't have to go inside or any of that stuff or ask what's going on. Just ask them if they're all right. Just be more attentive to them and see what's going on with them, because they may need your help. And if you're a friend, and if you have a relationship with your I'm pretty sure with your friend. Let them. Maybe you guys can get some words to kind of help you along the way, like some code words and like code words that you can tell each other if something is wrong. You can that word right there will say I'm sick or whatever the case would be, and they'll know that something is wrong with you, or something even less trivial than that. But be about somebody else's business. Sometimes when it's time to mind somebody else's business, this is the time to mind other people's business. Like when things like domestic violence is concerned, you have to be minding other people's business in a sense that you don't want nobody to lose their lives, because this is domestic violence is such a killer, is such a monster. It's such of a monster. So you should be able to want to help somebody. You want to be able to help somebody to be able to get out of this rut, to get out of this dark place, because domestic violence is a dark place. It's a deep down and dark place. But I always say to somebody, you don't have to stay in the place that you're in, because there is hope. There is hope. And if you have life, there is hope. Where there's hope, where there's life, there is hope. And where there's hope, there is life. So you do not have to continue to go on and to be afraid and continue to be abused in any kind of way, because somebody has a way out for you. All you have to do is just like open your mouth and be ready to. But we have to realize as we do these things that we cannot make people leave. You have to realize that we cannot make them leave. They only leave if they want to leave. You cannot make a person that's in an abuse situation leave, because I remember when I was in an abuse situation, even though I wanted to leave and I couldn't leave, but still in all, because sometimes it was love, and it sounds crazy, love that kept you there at the same time, but it was still that fact that you had that fear, because you didn't know where you was going, especially when you have children in that situation too. It's a very messy situation, because sometimes you really want to take the flight and leave when there's an opportunity. But yeah, you got children. Where are you going to go? Who's going to take you in? And I remember the times when I was out there in that situation, there was no help for me. No help whatsoever. No one helped me, because my mother would send me back home to where I was being abused at. So I couldn't stay to her house for so long. I couldn't go anywhere else. So, and that's the same thing. If you don't have money, if you don't have any, you need there's a person, if you are or know someone that is abused or abused, you need to be they need a good support system. A good support system. And that means without questioning and asking them questions or whatever, the thing is just to be there for them. Because if they had the things that they have now these days, I probably wouldn't be in a situation. I would have been in that situation. But because I had to weather through the storm. And sometimes that storm was very rocky. And sometimes you felt like throwing in the towel. But I'm telling you tonight, don't throw in the towel. Keep the towel. Don't throw it in. Because you're going to make it. You are strong, and you can do that. No matter what the situation is, no matter what's going on, no matter, and sometimes it gets worse before it gets better, but definitely you can make it. And for those people who are wanting to help somebody, you can help them. And the way of helping them is just like I said, not to pressure them or to leave, or telling them that they need to leave, but instead just let them know that they have that support and you will be there for them. Another thing is to ask them which way they want to go, or why, or which way they think that is best for them to be. you need to establish that communication with them, that communication of channel with them, so that they can definitely be able to respond to you in a sense. And what you need to do is not to leave them alone. Sometimes the worst thing to do is just to leave them alone. Just stay in touch with them. Just be there. As I keep saying, it's just to be there. Be supportive of them, and just believe in them and assure them that it's going to get better, and it is going to get better. Don't need to ask them a lot of questions and all this, because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So anyway, again, you guys remember that there can be serious safety risk involved with someone leaving. So we have to make sure that they have a escape plan, a getaway plan, and that it's very strategic, because if that abuser find out that that person is leaving, that they want to leave, they can easily get killed. So it's a very serious situation. Now, a lot of times, right now, I have like 30 minutes, and this is about, my 30 minutes is about also, I was trying to rush this stuff, but I can't do that. So the numbers, I have numbers that I want to give to you. If you're in a situation, you can call these numbers. For domestic violence is 1-800-621-4673. That's 1-800-621-4673. The next one is, you can text this one. You can text the word LOVE is, love is, to this number of 22522. Love is to the number 22522 for help. The next place that you can call if you need help is Safe Horizon. That number is 1-855-234-1042. That's 1-855-234-1042. And if you're outside of New York City, the number is 1-855-484-2846. That's 1-855-484-2846. And if you want to connect with me, my phone number is 1-800-454-4639. That's 1-800-454-4639. The email address is loosenthecords@loosenthecords.bind.com. That again, loosenthecords@loosenthecords.bind.com. And the website is loosenthecords.bind.com. Well, my time is about up. I thank you for coming on and listening tonight. I will definitely explore. We have to explore more. And at another time, remember, there is hope. You don't have to stay in the situation that you're in. There is a way out, and God has a plan for your life. Keep on and stay encouraged and know that you will survive. God bless you. May heaven smile upon you. Again, good night.